Okay, we are ready. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us on our Monday night Zoom. I'm excited about the special speaker we have with us tonight. Of course, all of our speakers have been special recently. And also, for some reason, I'm getting all kinds of weird things on my screen here. Give me a second to deal with it. So anyway, we're going to start off with Jeanette Smith tonight. And one of the things that Jeanette suggested, because apparently she had this done on one of her Zoom networking meetings that I thought was very appropriate, is Zoom etiquette. And there's some things we all need to be thinking about when we're on Zoom. So Jeanette, I'm just going to let you spend a couple of minutes chatting about what that really means and what it looks like.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. The first thing that I realized that my glasses, I don't know if it's the type of glasses I have, but I can't get rid of the glare. So I've taken my glasses off. So that's one
right.
thing. Make sure that you, what's that?
I said, that's okay. We can see you. If you can't see us.
So anyway, and position yourself. I've gone around the house and it's sort of it's either too much sunlight or not enough lighting, but try to find the best place that you can find in your home or office that is not too busy. You don't want too much behind you. And for one thing, you don't want your dirty laundry. The other day I was on a meeting and here's this lady's pile of laundry behind her. And I thought, oh my goodness. No, we're professionals. We need to act like professionals. And that's another thing we're going to talk about is in a minute. Anyway, don't get too far away from your screen, because if you do, you will look like you're disconnected. And if you're too close to your screen, you're going to be encroaching on their area. So don't get too far too close. And you've got to play with this, and so work with your camera, with your screen, to see which is best. When you're talking, it's very easy to talk down to the pictures because you feel like you're talking to people, but you need to be looking right at the camera, and so your eyes are up and they're not down like this. So make sure you're staring at the camera, which is a little hard to do because you want to see the expression on people's face. But if you glance down once in a while, it's not bad. Otherwise, you look like you're ignoring them. Sit up, don't slouch, don't lay down on the couch and do it. On another Zoom meeting the other day, this lady was in her pajamas and her husband's laying on the bed with half covered up. And it's like, oh my goodness. That wasn't a professional meeting, at least, but it was a little strange. So make sure you dress up, look nice, and be professional. And then another thing, there's a delay. So make sure you articulate and say your words clearly. I know when I teach piano, I try to count, and that won't work because they're behind me. So just try to articulate and speak up so people can hear and understand you. The next thing I want to talk about is the ums. And I do a lot of them, and I've tried to catch myself and doing a lot better to say, well, that, yeah, that's just not professional. So speak up and think about what you're going to say and then say it. And then for Mel Robbins, heard her say not too long ago, don't say you're sorry. And women seem to do this more than men, she said. But instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you say that again? Say, oh, thank you for saying that. Would you repeat that? So make sure that you are careful about saying you're sorry, and count the many times you say you're sorry in a conversation, or the ums that you say. Other than that, just keep your eyes up on the camera and smile and enjoy your conversation. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you
Jeanette.
so much,
I appreciate
Jeanette.
that.
And it's interesting that you also mentioned attire. For those of us that listened to the mission call, Mary Venn, that was one of the first statements she made about dressing professionally, which surprised me from a younger person, actually.
Well, and the other thing that we've noticed too, and I belong to 2-3 networking groups that have been meeting on Zoom, is that one of the things they ask is that people look engaged, look like you're interested, because if you're having a meal while you're on Zoom, if you're doing dishes in the background, if you kill your camera so you can go off and do whatever, everybody's wondering, well, I wonder what they're doing instead of paying attention. So the reality is you want to be visible, you want to be engaged, you want to be looking like you're interested, even if you're not, because
But it's disrespectful
it
to the
is.
speaker.
It's absolutely respectful for the speaker. So anyway, enough on that. Now, our next speaker tonight, I'm very excited that Jen's going to be sharing with us tonight because she is a senior executive coordinator. She has a great track record in this business. She has built a wonderful organization. She's attracted a lot of very fascinating people to this organization and has had probably more success than most young people we've ever seen come into the business in a relatively short length of time. We've always been impressed with her work ethic. We've always been impressed with the way she builds relationship and handles herself, and very excited to have her on with us tonight. So Jen, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hey guys, good to see you. I did not hit up Zoom etiquette today, so here we are. But I'm excited to share about being. So this is something I've really dove into recently and like refocused on, because I feel like it's something that is neglected, and it's such like an important part of what we do. Also, I just want to apologize ahead of time. It is witching hour in the alley, and so if you hear screaming and all that, there's a lot of kid action happening and fireworks. So that's where we're at today. Anyway, so being. We are human beings. We are not human doings. And I think that is so important to remember. And Tiff talked about this on the call this morning on the Mission Possible call. Actually, I was texting her. I was like, we're talking about some of the same things. So that was cool to kind of hear that. But anyway, we're human beings, not human doings. And so I really want to dive into the being part of the be, do, have, because it's a 3-part thing. And yes, we do things, but our value and our worth isn't based on what we do. It is innately based on who we are. And that is so important for when we own that, because that transfers into our confidence, and that's how we attract people. So we've seen this so many times, and I think it's so important in terms of what we do. In order to have the things that we want, we have to be and do those things. So we have to be the person that we need to be, and do the things that we need to do in order to have the things that we want. Saying it backwards. But I really want to focus on the be, because I think we talk a lot about the do, which is great. That's so important. But even before the doing, we really have to get into the being space. So I saw this quote and I just thought it was perfect in terms of we're human beings and we're not human doings. And it's called self-worth. The only one who gets to decide your worth is you. It doesn't come from your bank account or the number of friends you have. It doesn't come from what someone else says you are worth. It's called self-worth for a reason. It comes from you. It comes from being yourself and being proud of who you are. It comes from being someone that you can count on and someone you love. The numbers will change with time, but what won't change is who you are deep inside. Beautiful, limitless, wonderful, creative, strong, capable. And that is where your worth comes from. And so we all have our own adjectives that we associate with, but it is so important to be aware of that. And we're in such a doing society where so much value is placed on how much we do, even as children. And really, even though we talk about like you're special and you're good enough and whatever, you're good enough just as you are, we don't reward that. We reward the doing. And so it's important to step back and be in this space of being and be confident in that, so you can come into the doing with the right energy. So Today's gonna be like a lot of self-reflection, so I hope you brought a pen and paper, and if you didn't, I'll send this to Rick so he can send it out. We're gonna go through these kind of quickly. I'm gonna give you a little time to write on the ones that stick out to you the most so we can talk about them at the end. But these are really worth sitting down and journaling through. And we're going to talk about the clarity piece also in a minute. But what kind of person do you want to be? Like who do you want to be if you're like finding that things aren't aligning in your life? How do you want to feel each day? What kind of energy do you want to feel? Do you want to feel excited? Do you want to feel empowered? Do you want to feel strong? Do you want to feel confident? What energy do you want to feel in that space? How do you want to feel in your business when you're working it, right? This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be exciting. And yeah, some days it's not always the fun, like it's not always fun, but when you come in with the energy of being excited about what you're doing, even if it's maybe not your favorite piece of it, it changes the whole dynamic. And for these things to happen, like what do you need to do to make that happen? What do you need to do to get in a positive energy space for yourself? What do you need to do to make your business feel the best when you're working in it? What's already working in your business right now or in your life? What's missing? For example, one of the things that I really value for our team is having fun and making sure that that's a key part of what we do. And since most of my team is spread out and not local, we're doing more. I mean, we're already doing stuff on Zoom, so that was nice for the transition. But when we get together, we love to dance. And so now at the beginning of every call, we do a dance party. And so it just brings the energy up for the team. And that's the energy that I want to have in my team. And that's the energy of the people that I want to attract into my team. And so if we're not having fun and doing the things we love, then like people aren't going to stick around, right? And you're not going to want to stick around. So going through these questions, like jot down something for a few of them, like what do you want to feel and how do you want to be in your business? Do you want to be excited? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be whatever that looks like for you? It looks like something different for everybody, right? And can I move to the next picture? Everyone have enough time with the questions?
Go ahead, Jen.
Okay. There's more questions, so a lot of self-reflection today. And then also really reflecting on what you value. So what do you value in your life, in your customers, in your business? Like what things are important to you? We're going to do a thing in a little activity here in a minute about writing out your ideal customer, but we were doing this in our team, and a few of the people were talking about how it's so important that their customers are passionate about the earth and like Earth Day and all of those things. And some people, that wasn't a huge priority on their list, but other people are like, those are the people I want to connect with. Those are the people I want to work with because that aligns for them. And so what kind of things do you value? I value independence. So I want people that are able to place orders online and like let me teach them, but like also have them understand how to do it and not need me to bring things over or them wanting to pick things up from my house. Like I want people that value the direct shipment option and all of those things. So what things do you value? I also value kindness. I want to work with kind people across the board. And so going through that, what's important to you? How do your values currently align with what you're doing? Or are they not aligning? So when you look at how you're building your business, how you're living your life, are your values actually playing out in that? And what needs to change to improve that or flip that, or what's going well that's already supporting that? What needs to change to strengthen that alignment? So even if it's going well, what could you do differently to make it better? So jot a few things on here too.
No, she is.
And then so you're finding out who you want to be, right? To have the things that you want. But also, who do you want to work with? Who do you want to connect with? Some people want to work with anybody and everybody. I know that I do not, and that's one of the benefits of this business. I want to work with certain people, both as customers. I have a very specific customer that I want to work with, and I have a very specific business partner that I want to work with. And while some traits overlap, some things are very different. So who is your ideal customer? What do they look like? What do they value? What gets them excited? What does your ideal business partner look like? Who do you want to work with on a regular basis? Who do you want to bring into your team? Whose energy do you want to bring into your team? Because that matters. What does your team look like? What does it feel like to work with your team? What energy is there? What is happening in that space for you all? What makes your team special? Do you have dance parties? Do you love to celebrate with champagne? I love that about this team. You know, what makes your team special? What sets you apart? And what do you want that to look like? And maybe you don't have a team yet, and that's okay. But putting it out there and getting it down and being clear on that makes such a difference. So I love this quote from Tiff today on the webinar. She said, I used to be clever and never made a lot of money. Now that I'm clear, I make a lot of money. And she was talking about it in terms of communication, but I think it absolutely applies to this. And in our follow-up conversation, I feel like yes, it does. But you have to be clear on what you want if you're going to attract it into your life and if it's going to be in your realm, right? So I haven't been very clear on what I wanted everything to look like for a while, and I've really been intentional about this last few months. And even with all this crazy going on, and doing things online, which is like kind of nice sometimes, but like also as an introvert, I didn't understand how that would like translate into meeting people, because there's like all these people talking and just a lot going on. Like, I don't know, there was just a lot to me, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. And I have met so many amazing women, and whether we partner or not, they're connected to networks of other really amazing people. I can just tell based on who they are. And so just putting myself in the energy space and the mindset space and getting clear on exactly who I want to bring into my life, like those people have been coming up out of nowhere. And it's been really exciting to see. And so having clarity is so important in everything, but especially at this beginning step, because if you skip it and you go straight to the doing, you're going to miss a lot, and you're just going to be scrambling at everything, and then either you'll get a lot of nothing or you'll get something you really don't want, and that is not fun. And I love this quote. You all know I love Brendon Burchard. Perhaps the world isn't giving you what you want because based on all of your distractions and lack of discipline, it's simply unclear what you're asking for. And I think that's so true. And I don't even know, I think discipline is part of it, but I think if you're not putting out into the world what you want and you're not clear about it, like how can it come back into your life? Like how can it come in there if you're not looking for that? Or if you're not looking for one thing, you're looking for everything. And so like Tiff said, clarity is so powerful, and it's so powerful with this B step. And like I said, I feel like we jump over this and we skim it a lot. And I know for me, I didn't pay much attention to it until recently. And since paying more attention to it, I felt a shift in myself. And I've definitely felt a shift in the people and the quality of people that are coming into my life in terms of who I want to work with versus who I happen to work with because they're there. And then finally, what do you need to do each day to get into your optimal energy state? And so Tiff also talked about this on the call too, talking about, we want to show up and be our best for others. And so that means we have to take care of ourselves first. And there's so much noise out there, even more now with everything going on, that has so many opinions, and not a lot of it's positive. And so it's your responsibility to do what you need to do for yourself, whether that's reading, whether that's yoga, whether that's running, whether that's your strip and your shake, whether that's dancing it out before you have to get on a call, or make phone calls, whatever it is that gets you into the energy state that you need to be, like do it.
Yeah, it's music.
We don't always want to work, right? I know I don't always want to work. I'm there. I love what I do, but I also like enjoying breaks. But sometimes like, okay, I'm going to do it. And so you know, whether it's jumping around or putting on a song that really gets me excited, doing something to get me into an energy state that is positive and excited, so that when I engage with people, even if it's only for a short period of time, like the energy that I'm putting out can make space to bring in that much more energy back in. So I think this is so important. And I think we get caught up in the doing, and I feel like that is important too. And when you're in this energy state, it gets you into a place to naturally want to do more because you're excited and you're happy, and the things that are coming to you are what you want. And so really focusing on this brings all the other pieces together. But we can't skip this step, even though sometimes we want to, or we do. Because I know I did for a really long time, and sitting back into that has really made a difference. So I would love if people shared. I can't figure out how to stop share. There we go.
There you go, Jen. You know, there are a couple of things you said that really struck me as being so important right now. We talk often about this being a relationship business, and part of what makes relationships work is being authentic, being transparent, being yourself, not trying to put on a front, and be honest about who you are and what your values are. And I think many of those questions that you posed help us clarify that very definitely. And the other thing that struck me is your comment about you're more discriminating now about who you work with. Because I know when we first started in Shaklee, it was just anybody and everybody. And we had some toxic people in our organization that we literally had to get rid of because of the brain damage they were causing other people. And I remember back in the dark ages when I was still in corporate America, when I had to interview people, one of the things I learned was that when you read a resume, people are identifying their skills. And you can't really tell whether they've got 15 years of experience or 1 year experience repeated 15 times. But one of the things I learned very quickly is I would hire for attitude before I'd hire for skills. You can train skills, but you can't change most people's attitudes. And I think that's one of the powerful things that you shared tonight is we get to choose those people that we work with. So anybody else, comments, insights, thoughts, surprises? Shirley, let me unmute you. Go ahead.
Okay, one of the things that really struck me, Jen, all this was wonderful, by the way, and it's nice to hear you on these talks on Zoom. But the question was an ideal customer. Couple of things. First of all, if they would please be consistent every day, do something. It doesn't take a whole lot. We talk often about maybe 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day. And the other thing that would describe an ideal customer to me would be have some activity. Go do something. Be in a running club. Join a business networking group. Lead some kind of group. Talk to moms of tots or something, but get out there and do something other than just listen to talks and get online and whatever. You've got to be active to make this go. Thanks.
Well said.
Anybody else?
Chris, I'll unmute you.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I liked what Shirley said too. And Jen, that was awesome. Thank you. I really liked the part, and I listened to Tiff this morning too, about being clear on your vision of what you want. I think that really gets into that essence of being who you really are. And just like you said, Rick, about being authentic. I think you really have to vision that and answer all those questions that Jen had. So important. I'm really doing a lot of that myself now too.
Well, I have to say, Jen, I really enjoyed the dancing part. And I remember Some of you may remember going through Samira, and that was the big thing that he did. He would put on that music before he started any seminar, and he would always talk about building up your energy level before you communicate with someone. So I would love to find that music again somewhere, because all of the songs that were put together were just perfect. So
Didn't we
thank
do
you
it? Didn't
for
somebody,
reminding me.
Alana, didn't somebody do a tape on that? I mean, I know I don't have it anymore, but I think somebody actually did a tape on it.
Yep, but I don't know who, and I don't know where it is.
I don't either. I don't know where mine is either.
I love that too, because music is a
tape?
motivator for me, and
Tape?
remembering to play something that's going to get your, your energy going and get your mind feeling, creative is a really good idea. So thank you for that. That stuck out for me.
Well, and to segue from that too is one of the things that Tony Robbins has always said for years is that your state is determined by your actions and your behavior. So you do something physical, it affects you mentally like that. And so we have 100% control over that.
Anybody else?
Am I on?
Yes.
As I was on hold today, this has been on my mind. I think Shackley needs to change that music.
Oh my God.
You're on hold. It is
Yes.
terrible.
Good idea.
Crazy.
So
And I
don't
think-
tell us, if you don't like something, email field support, because they definitely
I will.
get the emails.
I will. And is this part of what Roger's music is? It sounds like the land of a band, something wrong.
Yeah, it's similar.
Anyway.
That was- that-
I will definitely do that. Anybody
Yeah, that was
else?
the original song that was written.
What?
That was the original music that was written quite a while ago, and Roger actually wrote it.
Really?
Right, that's what I'm saying. And years ago, we used to have a little CD that Shackley put out on pre-meeting music. So I know it has been important, so I think that's a good point as well. And anybody on that call that wants to join me in asking for better music, let's do it.
Yeah. Send them
I
email.
will.
Lauren,
Hey, Jen.
what you wanted to make?
Jen, thanks so much. All these questions are great, and I'm going to take some time to really look at this and answer them. So thanks for sharing.
Can I say something?
Appreciate it.
Yay. Yeah, it takes some time. So they're kind of thrown at you, but
Yeah.
it's worth investing in.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
So, hi everybody. Jen, awesome job. Wonderful to hear you on this call. So what if a friend introduces you, who loves Shackley, introduces you to somebody and you just do not click? I know, Rick, you've said in the past, you place them underneath other people in your organization, but I just want to hear, something positive. We have new people on the call tonight. I have new distributors on the call tonight. If you feel like this is not going to be the best mix of personality, what would you suggest people do?
Is that friend in Shackley?
Yeah, in this case.
So that means that friend connected with this person that they're referring to you.
Right, but they're not business builders. They're just a consumer in Shackley.
Oh, there's the consumer?
Yeah, they're just a consumer. They said, oh, you have to talk to my friend. And I was like, okay, sure. And this other friend became very interested and was just nothing but a pain in the neck. So I just want to know, I know what I would like to do.
I know what I would do. I would refer them to somebody else that's a better fit. To me personally, it's not worth it. I've been down that road and it's not part of my value system. So in hindsight, I didn't do that before and I learned a lot, but now I would refer them to somebody else that maybe would be a better fit for what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually did do that. We had a couple of people that came on board that were referrals, that there wasn't a connection, and we suggested that they find another person to work with that they would feel more comfortable with. Because like Jen said, you can't afford that energy taken away.
Yeah, thank you.
So fortunately, we love all of our team right now. So we're blessed.
Yeah, definitely. Scott, you had a comment earlier.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, Jen, awesome job. Awesome job. I love the content. So cool. When I first started my Shackley business, this kind of brought me back as I was super broke, and I joined, I teased that a lot of people join Shackley to find balance, and I wanted a balance in my checking account, so that's why I joined Shackley, right? And so we're in a much better position now, and things are great. But I would say that it's so easy to, in the beginning, say, well, if I just have the money, then I can do these things and be that person. And it's the backwards thinking of, if I could just get the money, so just tell me what I need to do. Just tell me how this works and tell me what I have to do. And it starts with, the first thing you have to do is define your why. And you just gave the blueprint of how you define your why. I mean, it was beautifully put together. That is the construct of a why that you just laid out for everybody. So it's easy to get off that path too over the years. Shackley is such a great company. It's so easy to get so comfortable in the products and your customers and how things are. And we can get misaligned with that why. And as our why changes, these are great questions. I think I personally need to sit down and explore in detail. So I'm looking forward to going back to the recording with a pad of paper. Thank you so much for doing that.
Get your paper.
Anybody else? Any comments?
All right. Well, Jen, thank you again for doing a great job tonight.
Very
I appreciate you forwarding the PowerPoints so people can use it as a reference when they're going through and beginning to answer some of these questions for themselves. I think that's going to be huge for a lot of people on this call. So thank you all for being with us tonight.
Oh, and congratulations to Dana Wright. He's already qualified for Cash for Conference for this month.
That's right.
Yes.
Yay, Dana.
And Shirley's really excited.
Yeah, Shirley's excited because she gets to laugh all the way to the bank.
Dana and Janet.
All righty, gang. Thank you again. Great job tonight. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you. Make it great. Thank you. Go for Cash for Conference.